Hey guys, welcome back to another video. On today's video, guys, I'm going to be doing a quick overview of the new Dead by Daylight developer update that was announced just a few days ago. I didn't get this video out right away because the night that this was announced, I was getting home from work, so I didn't want to make a video and get it out all in the same night. I was pretty tired. I just wanted to go to bed. So, the PTB still hasn't been released. It won't be released until likely sometime next week. So I guess I'm not terribly late to it. But this is just going to be sort of a fill-in video for the week because there are no new movies that I am going to be seeing this week. But next week, 3 new movies on my list because Dumb Money at my theater, and it seems like probably a lot of other theaters, got pushed back to the last week of September. So I'm going to have 3 movies to review. Hopefully I can get caught up on those very quickly and get them all out of the way that weekend and not have to wait until... hopefully I can get them all within the same time period out. But I am equally excited for all of them. Stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of content next week. And as always, let me know of any video ideas in the comment section down below. I'm always open to video ideas. And I'll try to take any of them into consideration. So other than that, let's just get straight into this video. As you know, in all of these types of videos, I've already looked at this developer update, so nothing is a surprise to me. So yeah, let's just go over it. So the first thing that they announced is that they're introducing a new anti-face camping mechanic, which has apparently been pushed for quite some time now. And basically, what it does is if the killer is standing within an indefined radius, we do not know the exact numbers for this. I would say, just whatever would be considered face camping to you. So I'd probably say within like a 2, 3, 4 meter tear radius, something like that. If the killer stays within that radius for long enough. So this still makes proxy camping viable, which is obviously a much more viable strategy than just sitting there and staring at the hook the entire time. If the killer basically AFKs there and face camps you for a certain amount of time, you will be able to self-unhook. And it looks like that this is also going to work for the second hook phase. So when the entity summons and is getting very, very close to killing you, you're also able to self-unhook, which has never been introduced into the game ever, and I've always thought of, like, some perk that's going to eventually come out that's going to allow you to do that, and I was just like, Dead by Daylight is always just slowly eating away at all of its ideas, and I'll talk about this later, but, what do I have to say about this? Obviously, I'm not a face camper. There are certain situations where camping is somewhat of a viable strategy. If the end game, if you want to solidify a kill, it's probably, probably the best way to secure that if you already have somebody on the hook. But in most cases, I'm never just sitting there staring at the hook or staying within the hook's radius. I'm usually scanning around, looking if any survivors are coming, or looking where they are, or seeing if I can maybe down another person and know that nobody else is going to be able to get back to that hook on time. So I don't, obviously this doesn't really affect me very much, but I don't know. My thing with camping is that nobody likes to be camped, but I just see it as a natural factor of the game, and that there's just, new players are going to do it, and eventually they'll realize that it's just not going to work out for them very well, in that, they're going to have to come up with something else to be able to get all 4 kills, because camping one person on the hook is just, it may get you 1 kill, but it's never going to get you the 4K. What is annoying is players who definitely do know that it is not a viable strategy, but do it anyway because it's annoying. So that this kind of fixes that quite significantly, so I do like that. So yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really affect me that much, and when somebody does camp me, I really am not that mad about it. I'm more mad at my teammates for not really trying to do anything or make any sort of play or anything like that. So I don't know. I know most people would be like, why are you not super happy about this? I don't know. Just not really, it doesn't really affect me that much, so I'm not too excited about that. But I'm sure other people will probably really like this. And then the Skull Merchant basically got completely reworked. Now, to sum it all up, I'm not going to go through all of these different things that they changed with the lock-on mode, 2 modes. Honestly, I don't know that much about Skull Merchant anyway, because when Skull Merchant was released, I was not playing Dead by Daylight at all. I was on a very, very long break from the game, so I never really looked at her power or whatever she was doing. I kind of caught on to it once I got back into the game and saw people using the annoying 3-gen Skull Merchant strategy. That is gone. Now there are no more 3-gen Skull Merchants. That is into the oblivion. Now she's basically a killer with drones that you're supposed to use it in chase, and from what I've heard, it doesn't work very well. So she is going to be one of the probably worst killers in the game until they completely rework her power, because the way I see it, the Skull Merchant, the entire design of her power needs to be completely shut down and built up from the bottom up, because it just does not work. For what, if you have it work for generators, she has a very annoying power. But if you only have it work for chase, then her power is just not very strong. There are just tons of other killers that instantly outbeat her. So, yeah, Skull Merchant, I think, is a killer that you're just going to have to build from the bottom up. This is not something that they're going to be able to rework by, making a bunch of tweaks to her core power. It's just not something you're going to be able to do, in my opinion. So, yeah, Skull Merchant is probably going to be one of the worst killers in the game now. But at least we don't have any more 3-gen Skull Merchant. Which is what I think they were just trying to do right now, is they're just trying to create a temporary fix, because there's so much negative feedback. I've never seen more negative feedback about a killer in a game than 3-gen Skull Merchant, so thank God it is finally gone. I did find it very annoying as well. They're making changes to the Shattered Square, which I really do like. Instead of being a rectangular-sized, huge map, they are condensing it to a square map, and they're going to be a lot more of LOS blockers, which I really do like this change. From the few games that I played on the Shattered Square, it is not a very fun map to play on Killer or Survivor, to be honest. And so I do like this a lot more. Make it more condensed and things like that, I think will work a lot better. Because the old Shattered Square, yeah, just not very fun. Pretty open map, and just not very fun. So I'm glad that they are doing this and condensing it down and making it much, much smaller, because it was a very, very big map. So as you can see, they're addressing some of the low obstacles. I don't know, I guess heightening some of the loops and stuff like that, and making, changing up some of the loops that there's more LOS blockers and things like that, so not all the loops are just feel like filler pallets where you can't mind game or anything like that. That's basically what they're doing. And then changing the map to a square map so it doesn't feel as big. And then they are starting this new thing with the Macmillan Estate, their first realm of maps, where basically they are now... How do I explain this? They are creating RNG within RNG, because as you know, obviously we have a big variety of maps. And in all of the individual maps, there is different RNG for those maps. You can have different loops in different areas and things like that. But now what they're doing is making it possible for main buildings and main structures that are exclusive to that map. They're making it possible for it to be in different locations. So not just the loops that you see in different maps and things like that, but actual specific features that are unique to that map. They're making it able to be in different sections of the map. So I don't know if this is just because they've only made an example for the Suffocation Pit. I'm guessing it's going to be the next time you load in Suffocation Pit, for example. Yeah, just for example. So this is for the entire Macmillan Estate for any of the maps. You could have, for example, the mine shaft in the Suffocation Pit could be on an entire different part of the map. So not just that, whatever you want to call it, front half, back half of the map. Now it's going to be harder to describe maps, because most of the time we use the main building as a way to know which way to go into maps and things like that. So this is going to make it harder for tournaments and things like that, because you can't say, oh, this is the front of the map or whatever. So yeah, now instead of having Suffocation Pit in the front of the map, you could have it on the back half of the map. I don't know. I have no idea how crazy this RNG is going to be. I don't really feel the need for this, though. There are so many maps in the game that, there's already enough variety in RNG, and obviously every individual map will have different loops placed in different places. But I think having the main buildings stay in the same spot is a good thing. And them doing this, yeah, it'll create more, variety and things like that, but I don't know. I don't see this as very necessary. So, I don't know. It'll be fun. It'll make things even more crazy, but I don't really think that this is a necessity. And then we got some perk changes, which are abysmal. I was excited to see Furtive Chase on there, and then I look at what they're doing, and they are literally bringing up the 4 meters that it takes down from your tear radius. Or they're bringing up from 4 to 5. That's all they're doing. And if this perk worked outside of Chase, maybe this would be a decent buff, but it still doesn't change the fact that this perk is terrible. You hook 4 different people in the game for what? To get a reduced 20-meter tear radius in Chase? Nobody cares. If you're in Chase, they're gonna know that you're in Chase. They're not gonna care that if you have 0 tear radius, it doesn't matter. They can still hear the Chase music. So the only people this affects is the people who are not in a direct chase with you and do not hear your tear radius while somebody else is being chased near them, which is very a very small situation, or it's very, how do you want to say it? Situational. And so, yeah, we all know Furtive Chase is a bad perk. The only thing worth using this perk for is the fact that it switches obsessions when somebody unhooks the obsession that you, unhooks the obsession, which can be used for, different chase builds and things like that. But now there are so many perks in the game that there are other perks that you can just use to change the obsession quicker. You got, Nemesis and other stuff like that. So, this doesn't even, that doesn't even matter. So, yeah, the whole perk just needs to be changed overall, bringing it up to 5 meters. I just don't think the developers really know, that. I just don't think the developers sometimes really know that much about the game. And how certain perks and certain features work. They just don't have a fundamental understanding of certain issues. And then we got Background Player, which I forgot what this perk did, which probably shows how bad it is. This perk allows you to sprint very quickly when the killer picks up another survivor, creating an opportunity to get into position for a save. Not only is this perk highly situational, but it leaves you exhausted, which could hinder you if you are chased shortly after. To make sure this perk is meaningful, when it activates, we are increasing the duration of the speed boost to 5 seconds instead of 4 seconds. So it gives you a speed boost when the killer picks up another survivor. Oh, okay, so it's that one where it's supposed to help you get, flashlight saves and stuff. Yeah, who cares? This doesn't help at all. Just no. Then we have killer tweaks. We got some quality of life changes to the trapper. Instead of spawning 6 traps throughout the map, which would equate to a total of 8 traps in the map total, including the 2 that you are holding. Now it's 8, so you have a total of 10 bear traps. Okay, but this still doesn't address the issue that he still has to walk around to get maps that are to get traps that are in absurd places. And then the trapper will receive a 7.5% haste effect after setting a bear trap. I do like this change. Anything to help the trapper is good. But there are still some main issues that they need to address, which I will talk about later. The Huntress and the Trickster, instead of taking 4 seconds to reload, it now takes 3 seconds. Good. Deathslinger now reloads in 2.6 seconds, so basically they added on the one of his add-ons, the Warden Keys, so it was one of his green add-ons. They made that default and nerfed that add-on so that he reloads quicker. Fine. And then they buffed some of these, like the Jaw Smasher and the Wanted Poster, which basically make you faster when you're aiming down sights, which nobody is ever going to use those add-ons because you're not aiming down sights for multiple seconds. You're quickly aiming down sights, making the shot, and then reeling them in. You're not holding it down and waiting for somebody to come in. That's just not how you play Deathslinger. And we got the Legion. We are increasing the movement speed bonus to 6% in the BFFs add-on. That's the token one, where if you get a certain amount of tokens for hitting or chain hitting in his power, you can get a movement speed bonus at the end of the game. I think it's a unique add-on. I really like it. So I'm fine with them buffing it. And so yeah, what do I think about this developer update? Pretty mediocre, to be honest. It's pretty average, you know, where they make one big change and then a lot of other tweaks. And I just, you know, to sum it up, same story as always. DbD, the fundamental problem is always going to be that there are just simply flooding out way too much content at once. There are too many overlapping perks and features and things like that, and they're always playing catch up for this reason, and they are just simply not putting out a bunch of these updates. They need to be putting out more of these. There should be 4 of these a year as opposed to having 4 killer releases a year. It's just absolutely absurd. Which, well, now that I think about it, they do make 4 of these a year, but it's just not enough, you know. It just does not balance out because there are just way too much content coming out. Releasing 4 killers a year is just way too much. I think it should be, I would say, like a minimum of 2 killers a year. I think if you reduced it down to 1 killer a year and put that 1 killer as you have him released at the anniversary, I think that would honestly work a lot better. You'd get even more people coming back to the game during the anniversary, because not only is the anniversary one of the most popular events in the game, but you also have a new killer release, so it just increases the hype even more. But when you're having a new killer released every 3 months, it's just not as exciting anymore. And you're just going to continue to fall back more and more and more, and just continue to have to play a game of catch-up with certain perks and certain features and things like that. So, pretty mediocre. Obviously, it's never a bad thing that they're always trying to, you know, make things better for the game and things like that, but the problem is that there's just too much new content constantly being released, and I'm not a fan of that, because it's just, it's ultimately, in the long run, reducing the longevity of this game every time they release a new killer. And some of the new killers lately have not been too good. Xenomorph was really good. Singularity, pretty hard to play. Skull Merchant, obviously, the worst killer ever to be released. And then Knight has some issues as well. Yeah, I guess to just kind of go over this, most of this I like. Anti-face camping feature doesn't really affect me that much, but it is a good thing. Skull Merchant, I'm just glad that they got rid of the 3-gen Skull Merchant. Hopefully she will be completely and utterly rebuilt in the future. And then the Shattered Square changes, I don't mind. The Macmillan Estate RNG stuff that they're trying out, I don't mind, but I don't think it's really necessary. The perk changes, I wish they would have done a lot more, because most of the time they do like 10 perk changes. They only did 2 on this one. And then killer tweaks, I like the quality of life changes for all of them. As far as the Trapper goes, they need to do a full-on, they just need to add like 15 quality of life changes to them, and then they need to change grass on all the maps. There are so many things that they need to do with with Trapper, which I don't think they will do, because Trapper inherently is an outdated killer that just does not work for the current meta and the current state of the game. And I think that the developers just realized that he's more of a novelty killer, and they realize that they don't necessarily want Trapper to be a very good killer. They just see him as a novelty, and they know that people will still play him anyway, even if he is not, you know, the greatest killer in the game. So I appreciate the quality of life changes and things like that. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below, but that's pretty much it. Let me know of any video ideas as always, and I think that's going to be it. Like and subscribe, guys. Stay tuned for next week. A lot of content coming your way, and I will see you next time.